Dropping that culture. 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 Dropping that culture.
And welcome to another. I'm sorry, folks. That was funny. All right, folks, and welcome to another edition of Dropping That Culture with JD and AJ. I'm JD.
And I'm AJ.
All right, and we're here on another beautiful evening here in California. It is raining in both of our areas. He is in Orange County. I'm in Whittier. But yeah, so it's raining in both places. We can't go outside and do the podcast like we usually do. So we had to do inside, and we'll just make it work. That's what it is.
Well, and we're all quarantined anyway, so here you go.
Exactly. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna still sit here, and we're gonna make some entertaining viewing for you guys for at least for the next few hours to help you get away from that quarantine blues that everybody has nowadays. It's a little escapism, a little levity, a little fun. You know, whatever we can do to help you guys out. Plus, I was actually going to bring this up. We're actually getting a lot of attention in terms of like my friends on my social media or whatever, because I'm posting a lot of stuff about Dropping That Culture with JD and AJ. And a couple of my friends are like, hey, I was like, hey, put me on your list or whatever, because he has like a list of like certain podcasts he listens to. I was like, yeah, put you guys on the list. So cool. So we got that. And like I said, we're getting a lot of views, getting a lot of comments. Like I said, we need some subscribers. We need you guys to subscribe, okay?
Hey, man, we're doing pretty good on subscribers, and I got to say, our friends out there in Michigan, I mean, that's a continued and growing community, so thank you to everyone in Michigan, Alabama, and then, of course, California is still kind of driving strong for us, so.
That's right. Thank you, Michigan, especially Alabama for you, boy. Thank you. And Cali, we are loving you guys, man. Please continue to support us. We're going to do our very best to make this bigger and better as we can, but we need your help. So please subscribe. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and mention some of our sponsors. Now, the first sponsor I'm going to mention will be Belserverse on Facebook and Instagram. You can go to the Facebook page, go to our Instagram page, the same thing, dropping pop culture news on a daily basis pretty much. It's not really much going on right now, but past articles, past things. Actually, I did an article this past weekend on the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four series from the 1960s. It is getting a lot of fire in terms of comments, in terms of shares. I was actually surprised at how much is going off, you know what I'm saying? And I actually did this for GodHatesGeeks.com. I've been doing a series for them for the past few months, and it's doing very well. So go check that out. Also, go to teespring.com, go to the Belserverse store, get you some of that Belserverse merch. We still got some merch on sale. We got a lot of merch on sale. We're getting some sales. A little more never hurts. So let's go ahead and get on there. I'm trying to do my best to get you guys some new material so I can make sure everybody has something different, something cool, so you can check it out, enjoy it. Tell your friends about it. You know what I'm saying? We posted some pictures of people posting some of that Belserverse stuff. So hey, support the cause, man. And we also have another sponsor. I'm gonna leave that one to AJ.
U.S. Hooker, for all of your rugby needs. Right now, I'm guessing everybody's dying for some sports. If you watch, religiously rugby, then, you're pretty much up to date. But if you're a football guy, if you're a hockey person, something like that, you must be dying for some fresh content right now. So the good news is you haven't watched enough rugby to have seen any of these games that have happened in the last couple of years and even the last few months. A ton of them are available on ESPN Plus. So now's the perfect time to learn a new sport, get into it, watch it, enjoy it. Go to ushooker.com to learn more about the sport of rugby. They'll teach you everything you need to know. In fact, I'm working with them. We got a couple of videos going to be coming out soon to help teach you guys the game of rugby quickly and easily, so you can just jump in and enjoy watching these guys beat the hell out of each other and fight for supremacy. So total blast. And while you're there, get a mug, get a t-shirt, get a hat, get something, to support the sport and everything they're doing.
And actually, I was going to bring this up too, since we're talking about everybody starving for sports. Two things. One, and I just revealed this to AJ today, String King, who is a company out here in California, they basically specialize in lacrosse gear, and also they do some rugby stuff too. digging into baseball bats, and I was able to do a series of commercials with them for their new bats as a fake Barry Bombs. So those are on those are on YouTube. They're also on the Dropping That Culture it's Facebook page, excuse me. And check those out. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully they make this a recurring character we're getting. Yes, it's on Belsaverse as well. So like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you can make this Barry Bombs a recurring character, which they actually have talked to me about because of that they're getting a lot of good response for it.
You know what? You could be like,
yeah, I'm down with that actually. And also, since we're talking about sports related, this past weekend, which is actually going to be part of the dropping that news thing, but I'm not going to talk about it now. This past weekend was actually WrestleMania. The WWE actually went ahead with WrestleMania, but they did it in an empty arena, their performance center in Orlando. And it's actually hands down the most talked about sports related event on the internet this past weekend. Because the fact is actually, funny enough, WrestleMania without a crowd was actually pretty good. It surprised me. Like, and then two particular matches in particular really got a lot of people buzzing because they were done and shot cinematically. Like, if you watch them, they're like, like pretty much like a '90s like cable action movie. It's like that. So there's two matches. One was the Boneyard match with The Undertaker and AJ Styles, which was shot in like some graveyard looking spot, and they shot at different angles, and they got like all the different they had music in it, and it was like it was dope, bro. Like it was really good. And also the second one the next night, which was called the Firefly Funhouse match. It wasn't really a match; it was more like a extended skit with John Cena and another character, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and they went through all of John Cena's history. They went through like some of the WWF's old history. Like they actually did a a homage to a show they called Saturday Night's Main Event. That was basically WWE's main show before Monday Night Raw back in the '80s on NBC. It was ran by Dick Ebersol. Okay. And they brought it back. They brought it. I think they did like the 1985 intro of that. I was like, whoa. And then they brought it back even more to Monday Nitro. They did the intro to Monday Nitro. Mm-hmm. It was a really good, very creative ski. You should check it out, man. Like, even though you're not as big a wrestling fan as me, but in terms of just like cinema shit and pop culture shit, I think you would dig it. I really do. Oh, for sure, man. I'm dying for something new anyway. So look up, you could. I think they're both on YouTube. Look up the Boneyard match. I'll give you the hashtags when we're later. The Boneyard match and also the Firefly Funhouse. Those are really good. Sweet. But let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and get to our regular segments, baby. So let's first off, which is a favorite of AJ and me, 7 Degrees of Eddie Murphy, where I can connect any major American film star to the great Eddie Murphy off of sheer memory, off the dome. If I have to look it up, I will state so I will look it up. But like for the most part, I'm trying to do it off of sheer memory. And also we got an intro to that particular segment.
It's probably my favorite intro we got.
I know. All right, so what names you got for me tonight, AJ?
All right, I thought I had to try to stump you right off the bat. We're going to go with Corey Feldman.
It's not that hard as you think.
All right, well, let's see what you got.
Okay, Corey Feldman was in The Lost Boys with, do I want to go that route? No, you know what? No, I'm not going to go that route. Corey Feldman was in Gremlins with we love Gremlins. Was in Gremlins with Dick Miller. Was in Gremlins with Dick Miller. Dick Miller was in Dick Miller was in Inner Space with Martin Short. Martin Short was in The Three Amigos with Chevy Chase. Oh no, actually Steve Martin. Steve Martin was in Bowfinger with Eddie Murphy. There you
go. Yeah, barely got there. We were getting close. It was almost past our 7.
I had to think there, but I got it.
You did, just barely. All right, so let me see what you can do with somebody a little more modern. Simon Pegg.
Got it. Okay. Simon Pegg was in. Which route I want to go with Simon? Okay, I got it. Simon Pegg was in Hot Fuzz with Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton was in the Beautician and the Beast with Fran Drescher. Fran Drescher was in This Is Spinal Tap with Michael McKean. Michael McKean was in which one? Michael McKean was in Airheads with Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis was in Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd was in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy.
A little simpler than I was hoping. I think I got a pretty.
I had to think about that one. Like Michael McKean. Like that was a linchpin here. Michael McKean.
But I'm thinking if I go younger, the younger I go, maybe the more difficult it might be. So I'm wondering how you could get there with Zac Efron.
Got it. Zac Efron was in Baywatch with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was in Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was in Meet Day with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, as soon as you said Dwayne, I knew I was screwed. Oh man, you froze. You there? Technical difficulties.
Who's this?
You back?
All right.
I got you.
Yeah.
Fish.
You still got me? You still got me?
Nah, I got
you. Froze? Oh, you froze too. Can you see me? Okay, I see you now. Okay, we're good now. We're good now. I don't know what that was.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's maybe I think it's the rain, but yeah, like I said, it's raining out right now, so you might see that, folks. But we're good. We got just 7 degrees.
We're gonna power through. This is by no means our most technically challenged production.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
Don't listen to episode 1. We should really just pull that one down.
That was funny. Yeah. All right, so that was 7 degrees at Eddie Murphy. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. WWBS. What would Busey say? Do an improvised rant as the great Gary Busey. Now, AJ, what subject is Gary ranting about tonight?
Well, I figured we could pose Gary a question and see where he takes it. So the question is, penguins, playful clown of the Antarctic or stuck-up non-flying birds?
Penguins. What do I think about penguins? Stuck up or clownish? Well, look at the penguin. The penguin's basically a living, breathing little tuxedo little motherfucker. The penguin mocks you. He waddles to you. Doesn't even acknowledge you if he wants to. I don't think much of penguins. To be honest with you, I think they're just dirty, flightless little fucking birds. You know, at least like animals like ostriches or like ocelots are actually more interesting to see. But a penguin, all they do is shuffle around, man. What kind of bullshit is that? Making me shuffle around my face, making me feel insecure about myself because you're a fucking penguin in your little tuxedo suit. I'm just weirdo fucking Gary Busey. Fuck penguins. Penguins ain't shit. Okay? And the only penguin I actually like is fucking Burgess Meredith. Okay? Burgess Meredith was a dope ass penguin. Wham wham on the motherfucker. You hear me? Wham wham. He actually made me feel that penguin shit, man. Fuck a Danny DeVito. It was too gross. And I know gross. I actually once slept with Roseanne Barr and Paula Poundstone. So I know gross. And Danny DeVito was fucking gross. Jesus, with the bile coming out of his mouth. And talking about, molesting fucking interns and shit. What the hell kind of shit was that? There was a kids' meal attached to that fucking movie, man. Come on. to be a little responsible here. Ugh, Tiger blood.
You know, I was expecting them to have a problem with their lack of knees, but
The lack of knees.
I kind of like the way we ended up going. It went a little more entertainment than I expected.
You want to hear about Gross having a threesome with Paula Poundstone and Rosie O'Donnell? Or Roseanne Barr, excuse me.
Either way.
That was some meat slapping in that shit right there, man. Try to get that image out of your head there, kids.
Well, that was mine and Gary Busey once again.
Oh yeah, Gary Busey. And now let's get to another segment. Dropping that news.
Dropping that news.
All right. Again, because of the goddamn coronavirus, ain't really much to speculate on. The only thing that really happened of note that I caught yesterday was the death of Honor Blackman, who played Bond girl Pussy Galore in Goldfinger with Sean Connery in like 1963, 64. She passed away yesterday from, I think, just old age, at the age of 94. Again, she's pretty much, in a lot of people's eyes, she pretty much set the standard for a lot of the Bond girls, especially with the, super androgynous name. Because, after Pussy Galore, you got, Holly Goodhead, Xenia Onatop. What's the other one? Plenty O'Toole, which is my favorite because she had really good teeth. But yeah, just names like that. Oh yeah. What's the chick from Russia with Love? Triple X, Asian Triple X.
Little on the nose.
Little on the nose, but effective. Yeah, man. And also, just a couple other things, because a lot of the celebrities right now. One thing I actually noticed that we have not talked about was a lot of the talk shows now are doing Zoom, just like we're doing right now with us other celebrities. Jimmy Fallon's doing it a lot. Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and they're doing some really creative things. They're keeping it going, in their own way. It's not the same. No, it's not the same as live.
No, because they basically, it looks like the same quality as what you and I are doing.
Yeah, it does actually. It really does. I think they did one yesterday with like Lady Gaga. I've seen a bunch of weird ones where they just follow the celebrity through their house because that's really all they can do. Just go through their house and shit.
Hey, look at all the neat
shit. Yeah, check out all the neat shit I have in my house.
Quarantine must suck for you.
Exactly. But yeah, a lot of talk shows are doing that, and also, like I said, we talked about the one sports-related thing that happened this weekend, WrestleMania 36. Actually, 2 nights. Because they said the event was too big for one night, mainly because of the fact they had so much shit they had to spread it over 2 nights. So it was 2 nights worth of entertainment. A lot of great matches, especially if you're a fan of that kind of stuff. And like I said, it was the most social event of this past weekend. Like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's the one thing they're talking about the most was WrestleMania 36. So kudos to them to still entertain people in this crazy time right now.
There's actually one thing that I think is missing so far from the news that you and I need to point out. Quibi just launched.
That's right. Quibi. Yeah, with their that's very anticlimactic launch considering everything that's going on right now. It's like,
well, they definitely had the media story like pulled out from under them, and they're trying to retool the way that they're doing their marketing portion of the launch. What makes them unique among all the other streamers is that they design from the word go content to be displayed on mobile devices. So it's not meant to be watched on your TV. It's not meant to be watched on your computer. It's meant entirely to go on a phone. And actually, I've heard a couple of guys. There's some guys that were fellow alumnus that were talking about did I think it was some sort of a thriller for Quibi, and they were saying it was a really big difficulty to shoot because they're having to shoot everything with 16:9 inverted, and then of course back to horizontal. So you're going back and forth because the idea is if you're watching this at home, you can be watching like this. turn it sideways, it will automatically adjust. So you basically can choose what format in terms of your aspect ratio you want to watch the show in, and you can switch back and forth live. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's without
The
bars at the top or on the sides or anything.
real thing that's really taking off right now is TikTok. Everybody's got a goddamn TikTok video. Of course, I don't either. So, but yeah, that's the real thing that's taking off right now. TikTok, of course, like all the different shows on Netflix that they've had in the can, but soon it's gonna come to a point, which we talked about before, it's going to the point where they're gonna not have anything in the can. They gotta come up with some new shit. This thing has to clear up, you know what I'm saying? So everybody can get back to work in more ways than one, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like they just still like watching like Tiger King and the movie I watched last night, Kareem and Coffee, or Coffee and Kareem, I believe that was the name of it. It was okay. But like for like a starved mass, I'm pretty sure like a lot of people are loving it. It was just okay to me. So yeah, a lot of that stuff going around, and they're adding more stuff to Netflix. So like a lot of the old Police Academy movies, like a lot of the different stuff. Like oh yeah, they added Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is a real pleasure to see.
You've been watching.
Yeah. Thank you, AJ.
As long as you see him in your dreams.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Just leaning in.
But don't do that, please. All right, so that's really all I got for the news. You got anything else, man?
Nah, man, that was it.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this motherfucker, man. Now, we didn't really post.
What's up?
What?
You didn't do that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to do that outro. I'm sorry.
Dropping that news. I mean, they ruined it.
You made me go through all that, and then you going to give me that lackluster ass. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Made me feel bad, actually. Asshole. Is that your dog moaning in the background, by the way?
No, that would be my dog breathing in the background. He's asleep.
Oh, he's breathing.
Yes. He's a bulldog, man. That's the way they sound.
That's how AJ dogs sound. That's him just chilling.
It was him asleep. When he's chilling, he doesn't make noise. When he's sleeping, he starts snoring. So he's got a sleep apnea. It's a deviated septum. It's not his fault.
Your dog's congested.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. So into the meat and potatoes already.
Meat and potatoes. Get to the meat and potatoes. Okay. Now, our subject for this particular podcast tonight is one that we're both big fans of. A lot of people are fans of, and the one that we want to discuss amongst ourselves. A couple of these actually have their own episodes to themselves, but we decided to just dissect a couple of our favorite ones. Spoof movies. For those of you not familiar with the concept of a spoof movie, think of Airplane, The Naked Gun, Hot Shots, meaning which we're going to be talking about tonight. The concept of certain, yeah, exactly. Movies that that make fun of movies. Well, make fun of pretty much pop culture in general. Like, saying you see a movie, you see all these crazy sight gags and silliness or whatever. It's supposed to be a serious situation, but then some craziness happens right in the middle of it, and they just keep going, just keep moving. You know what I'm saying? And it's always hilarious to see, like how far they can go in terms of like silliness and stuff like that. Now we can talk about a couple of the creators who are more or less indicative with these particular movies. Now, the first one comes to mind would be Mel Brooks, of course. Like I said, the reason, I also want to note to this, we're not doing Mel Brooks on this particular podcast because we feel Mel Brooks is a podcast all to himself.
Well, I mean, my honorable mention's a Mel Brooks, but yeah. Yeah,
his honorable mention is a Mel Brooks, but in terms of like the bulk of Mel's work, we're going to say that for a whole episode. That's a whole episode by itself. So So we be focusing on.
There were several films we should say that we've talked about. We're going to offline and do individual ones. Like, for example, Black Dynamite, that's its own podcast
Yes.
in of itself. Blazing
And
Saddles,
also,
apart and aside from Mel Brooks, is its own thing.
And also, same thing. Another group that's known for these type of movies, the Wayans family. We want to put that one to the side too. Same thing. Whole nother podcast. Okay. So we're gonna focus on just our favorites of the genre ourselves, and a couple of the ones that are not. Some of them that are well known. Some of them that are not as well known. But we'll talk about them and how much they make us laugh. We'll talk about our favorite scenes and also facts about these movies, etc. So like I said, certain people are known for these particular movies. Mel Brooks, the Zucker brothers, which have a few movies on this particular list that we have, and of course the Wayans family. But other people have done spoof movies as well, not as successful as those particular entities, but they've done them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember in recent years they tried like superhero movie and like Not Another Teen. One I did like that was not like one of those guys, Not Another Teen movie. I actually liked that.
Yeah, that was and then like what was the other one? There was something about the Spartans, and then I know there was some guys
Beat
here.
the Spartans.
Yeah, and then there's some guys from down here in Costa Mesa made the 305, and it was basically about the 500 Spartans that didn't make it. They got lost on a separate goat path or something. It was basically like The Office meets the Spartans or 300.
Yeah, but yeah, people have tried to make spoof movies. It's a very, very different type of art, and like I say, it takes a lot of patience to do these type of movies because like you got so many sight gags, you got a million things going on the screen as opposed to just the two actors. You got like something in the background, you got some weird saying in the background, somebody's doing something weird. You'll see a movie where somebody's like taking pictures or some shit in the background. You gotta pay attention for a spoof movie, especially to get the jokes and shit.
Now, I never did ask you, but did you think, or do you think that Strange Brew, would that be spoof? Because it's kind of spoofing being Canadian.
I wouldn't necessarily call it.
Right there on the edge because they have a lot of those extra little sight gags and some weird stuff happening.
Yeah, it is very much on the edge.
They break the fourth wall. They like do that whole thing, like cool special effects and all that stuff.
One thing I will say that kind of separates a spoof movie, especially in terms of what you're doing, spoof movies are usually based on something else. Strange Brew, I think, is his own thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So. Yeah.
That's one. I mean, I think that's a clear and important distinction to make for people so they kind of understand where we're going with it and kind of the way people break it down. Because, like we originally, when we first started talking, before we even said spoof, we started talking about situational comedy, and then we went to spoof. Because even that can be, I mean, that's a fine line.
Very much so. Yeah. But like I said, for these particular lists, so like they're based on like a certain genre or certain movie, or like maybe a certain series of movies. Like take for example, Don't Be a Menace from South Central, based on the gangster movies, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, etc., etc. Scary Movie, based on like those teen slasher movies of the early 2000s, Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Going back to like Johnny Dangerously, the gangster movies from like the 1930s and 40s. Mm-hmm. Or what's another good one? Another good spoof.
It's almost to describe them as a satire of existing genre.
Yes. That'd be a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, so we're gonna go through some of our favorite ones, and also we're gonna go over favorite scenes of those particular movies. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and start off our little list that we have here with a big favorite of both you and me, Airplane. I love, directed by the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams. Three people, and basically they started together out here in LA for the Kentucky Fried Theater that they had out here. Basically, same thing. They did a whole theater where they had skits just like that movie. You know what I'm saying? Just weirdo stuff like that. And of course, eventually the Zucker brothers eventually got their first movie, which will be the Kentucky Fried Movie, directed by another person who we've covered on this podcast, John Landis. Mm-hmm. And that became kind of an underground cult hit, you know what I'm saying? Like one of those midnight movies, you know what I'm saying? You see, like it was very adult and extremely funny and very vulgar and crazy sight gags, but it was the start really for both of those entities, both John Landis and for the Zucker brothers. So it was a launching pad. But because of the success of the Kentucky Fried Movie, they eventually segued into this thing here, Airplane. Now, for inspiration, they actually they would like leave the videotape running all night, and they would watch like old television, late night TV. spoofing the commercials and the movies. And then one particular night, they actually recorded the movie 0 Hour, which is actually the main basis of Airplane. The whole plot of people getting sick and stuck on this airplane and there's no pilot, that came from 0 Hour, and it was like in 1957. So like, but you remember there was a whole little thing of like airport movies, Airport 75, Airport 77.
Well, then you even have to also give it to television too, because you have what was it, Terror at 20,000 feet or whatever.
Yeah, the shit from Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I mean, like it had been an ongoing area to play kind of some interesting games about terror and stuck in no pilot or some sort of mechanical failure, that sort of thing.
Oh, like what are you gonna do? There's no pilot. You know what I'm saying? All these people are sick. That kind. We kind of live in 0 Hour right now. We're just not on an airplane. So, but we're definitely a country. Definitely a country is a plane without a proper pilot right now.
I feel like we're more living airplane, except for not on an airplane, rather than 0 Hour.
Yeah. So, but again, 0 Hour is the main inspiration for Airplane. They actually said they wanted to originally write it as a movie within a movie, like it's sort of a sequel to the Kentucky Fried movie itself. But then they decided to just go ahead and make it a full-length feature. Actually, funny enough, the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams actually picked actors like Robert Stack and Lloyd Bridges, Peter Graves, Leslie Nielsen, because of their reputation as no-nonsense actors. They were all classic old school actors, like Peter Graves, Mission Impossible, Leslie Nielsen from Forbidden Planet and a bunch of other shit. Robert Stack from wasn't he Elliot Ness?
Yeah,
the Untouchables TV show. Yeah, Elliot. Yeah, that straight-laced Elliot Ness. And I forgot. And then Lloyd Bridges from God knows how many movies. You know what I'm saying? So they're straight-laced, classic known actors. You know what I'm saying? So also because of the fact that none of these actors had done comedy, and then their reputation of being like straight arrow or whatever, because of the fact the delivery of all the different lines, all the ridiculous lines or whatever, because they're straight actors, made it even funnier because like these classic great actors saying this ridiculous shit. Like Lloyd Bridges and McCroskey with all the different things, or pick the hell of a day to quit drinking. And next scene, pick the hell of a day to quit cocaine. Next scene, pick the hell of a day to quit barbiturates.
Pick the hell of a day to quit sniffing glue.
Glue. Get me Rex Kramer. And then when he's sitting there at the desk, and there's a picture of him also sitting at the desk behind him. That's stuff like that, man. It's just silly shit like that.
But
those guys delivering that crazy dialogue really made this movie, man. It made it more poignant and made it more funny. Now, most of them, particularly Lloyd Bridges, were very reluctant to do this movie. I think the ones that really didn't want to do the movie were Lloyd Bridges and Peter Graves. And funny enough, Lloyd Bridges did it because Jeff and Bo Bridges persuaded him to do it.
I mean, it pays to have good family members.
That's right, baby. All great actors too. Bo Bridges, Jeff Bridges, Lloyd Bridges, all of them great. And also Peter Graves, because of the fact he's known for being, the conservative leading man from Mission Impossible and different things like that. He actually dismissed the script as disgusting crap. But then his agent was like, "Look, he actually got a call from his agent to discuss the movie from the producer Harold Koch, which Peter Graves did end up accepting. Then towards the end of the movie, this meeting or whatever, apparently Peter Graves had lightened his tone once he understood that he was also playing a spoof of himself, like Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack. Especially when he heard that Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack were attached to this movie, he was like, okay, so I'm just playing a parody of myself. He was like, okay, I get it. Okay. So he went with that, and he had a great time doing it. He actually, he said he read it. He signed up because his friends and his family had read the script too, and they thought it was hilarious. And they said, you know what? Do it. Please do it. It turned out to be one of the best career moves he ever had, man. Peter Graves.
Oh, it's killing.
Oh, yeah, man. It's, what's his name? Captain Over?
Roger.
Oh. Yeah. What's your vector, Victor?
Vector, right?
Yeah, we need some clearance, Clarence. Man.
That shit where you've got the voiceover people outside the red zone and the white zone having that argument
Oh,
back and forth.
yeah, the arguing, yeah.
The red zone is for
It,
voting only. No, the white zone.
it gets crazier. It gets crazier and crazier too if you listen to it. Like at one point, like, the girl's like, "We know what this is about. You want me to get an abortion? It's the best way." Like, what the fuck?
Well, what's insane was those two apparently really did the voiceover for the announcements at LAX at the time, and they're actually married in real life.
Married, yeah. I read that too. Like, really? They convinced them to do that shit. But yeah, they were great, man. Like, say you listen to it real hard, like, wow.
Well, see, but here, just as a quick aside, right? The best thing about a really well-written comedy is that the more you watch it, the more you learn. Like the first Hangover movie, partly because people were laughing so much in the movie theater, I had to go back and watch it 3 or 4 times to get all the jokes. I mean, like another example, fantastic about Arrested Development. There's jokes buried in there that only make sense after you've seen the entire season. You go back, like you miss them. Like it doesn't slow anything down. It's just part of the dialogue keeps going, but you'll find those hidden gems after you've seen the whole season because you're like, oh my God, like that line right there foreshadows something that's 3 episodes in the future and you have no idea, and it's hilarious. So when it comes to writing, stuff like that where they're able to bury it and layer it, that's what makes that stand the test of time.
Got a stew going, baby.
Exactly.
That is my favorite Arrested Development anything. It's Carl Weathers being cheap Carl Weathers.
I gotta be honest, it's my favorite Carl Weathers.
Really?
Yeah. He's so ridiculous, like the caricature he paints of himself.
Yeah. I mean,
portraying too. It's just freaking hilarious.
Well, I'm a fan of pretty much everything that Carl has done, and we have a mutual friend that knows Carl. I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm saying I've been begging this motherfucker since we've known him. Dude, bring Carl to the store. Seriously, bring Carl to the shop. I think it's because of the fact he knows I have so many questions.
That's why it doesn't do it.
I will bug the fuck out of Carl Weathers just because of the fact I'm such a big fan.
And like I said, I love Carl Weathers. Like I can go down the list, but for me, because I'm honestly like I'm such a pushover for comedy. So hilarious in that series. I can't help it, man. It just beats out everything else for me.
Him and Liza Minnelli getting the stew going.
Just do it all.
Yeah, we just keep the stew going, you know?
I don't know what that means, but it sounds disgusting.
That's a weird image, though. Carl Weathers busting down Liza Minnelli. and after that, they go eat some stew.
Everybody in that show with Liza Minnelli is a weird image.
Okay, but
back to Airplane.
Back to the movie. Okay, all right. So, this is a favorite segment, man. The fucking jive talk segment with the 2 black dudes talking jive and nobody understands them. And then the funny thing about it is, I listen to that jive talk. A lot of this shit, I don't know what the hell they're saying, but there's a few things like, okay, I get that. I understand that. Yeah, that thing, I don't know, but like, I understand that. Like, I got that one. But the jive talk was actually improvised by the 2 actors, Al White and Norman Gibbs. And because of the fact that Zucker brothers were not particularly proficient in terms of writing black slang language. So, yeah. So they basically they actually explained how they came up with the dialect in one of the special features for Airplane. And the funniest thing they think of it is because of the fact they talk the jive and then the subtitle in English. Slack 'em yak 'em. Slack 'em yak 'em. That shit always gets something done. Hey, bro, give it down to the bone. Give it down. Could have said he can't hang. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, what's his name?
To help out.
Yeah. What's his name? Barbara Billingsley. Was she like June Cleaver, right?
Yeah.
The Beaver. Barbara Billingsley. Yeah. This is such a weird dichotomy. Like these two black dudes talking jive, ridiculous jive, and then all of a sudden, fucking the mom from Leaving the Beaver just comes over and is able to understand them.
Translates for
Oh,
everybody.
actually, funny enough, if you watch the Kentucky Fried movie, the dude that plays what's the shit Wally, he's in that movie. Wally, I think Wally and some other guy playing the Beaver are actually in the Kentucky Fried movie, and they're playing Wally and the Beaver. Hey.
Paycheck's right. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. So the doctor, Dr. Rumack, was Leslie Nielsen's first comedic role. He said he was delighted to get the offer, fearing that he was too old to play anything but elderly grandfather parts at that point. They actually wanted Dom DeLuise for the doctor.
Interesting.
Yeah, but let's see here. The Zucker brothers decided to go with Nielsen because of the fact that they liked him more and they prevailed. And of course, it led to a whole fucking new career for Leslie Nielsen after the movie, mainly crazy ass spoof movies like this. You know what I'm saying? Like he made like God knows how many, pretty much to the end of his life. He made basically spoof movies. Some more successful than others, but yeah, he became the spoof king, man. And not just Naked Gun, which we're gonna talk about at length, but like other ones like Repossessed with him and like when they did like the weird thing in the like it was like early '90s. It was like the weird Exorcist thing where they brought back Linda Blair as the and then at one point they're doing a wrestling match and you see Jesse the Body Ventura and Mean Gene Okerlund. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? It was such a weird. And then what's the other one? Another one of Mel Brooks movies, Dracula, Dead and Loving It.
Oh yeah. I forgot.
My favorite one, probably of the non-Naked Gun, was a Spy Hard.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the Spy Hard with the fucking Weird Al, long ass sequence. Yeah. Spy Hard, you're watching Spy Hard, and then the bad guy was fucking Andy Griffith. Now Andy Griffith as this like megalomaniac with a metal arm. This is so
it was
wacky.
worth every penny, man.
Man, yeah, that was funny. Actually, the guy Steven Zucker, who was the guy that would come in and he would like say little lines and then pop off. All that stuff was improv.
Yeah, I remember reading that. He was Johnny, whatever, right?
Yeah, Johnny. And Steven's getting larger. He just go. All the stuff was improv, man. That was a weird character. Now, first 2 days of the movies like gross when they entered theaters actually was the entire production budget for the movie. Well, that's how much money it made.
Well, it's also how cheap it was.
It's like I think it's like $3 million.
Yeah, even for back then, it was a pretty cheap film.
True. Yeah. I'm sure it was. Oh yeah, like I said, now the Jive Lady, which you talk about, Barbara Billings, was actually originally intended to be Harriet Nelson from the Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. That's what they wanted originally.
That would have been interesting.
She turned it down because she's actually concerned about the movie's language and all the adult stuff in it. Of course, she was replaced by Barbara Billingsley, and apparently Harriet Nelson actually admitted to Robert Hayes, the dude to play Ted Stryker, that she regrets taking that role, not taking the role.
I bet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it did some good stuff with Barbara Billingsley too. So
I once heard someone say that when it comes to being an actor, you're going to end up regretting the roles you don't take more than the ones you do.
Yeah. Now, we talked about that before with Bill Murray and Jack Nicholson, all the roles they could have had, but they turned down and they turned out to be great. And of course, we talked about it with Eddie Murphy too. All those people have certain roles that like it looks like whatever sometimes on paper, and then you see the actual finished product, like shit, I should have did that.
Yep. But then again, the other question too is if you swap somebody out, are they going to have the same magic, the same fire? Is it going to all come together the same way? I mean, who knows?
That's the sad part about Hollywood. If it's meant to be, it was meant to be.
Yep.
So you got to move on. Simple as that. Also, the one dance sequence where they had "Staying Alive" in the bar when Ted and Elaine meet. They actually got permission from the Bee Gees to use "Staying Alive," and they actually sped it up for the purpose of this particular They actually had to get permission to speed it up too to use it. So yeah.
They're pretty tight about that.
Yeah. And also the casting of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as Roger Murdoch was actually a direct reference to apparently a football player named Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch had a role in 0 Hour. So it's a direct reference.
That makes sense.
Hey, I know you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers. You must be having mistaken, little boy. I am Roger Murdoch. Who posted this shit. I'm the co-pilot. Oh yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man. It's such a weird movie, man. Yeah. Apparently when they first pitched, what was that?
Talking about the pilots, the automatic pilot. Oh my god.
Oh, Otto. Yeah, Otto. I'm gonna get to Otto.
Blow up pilot.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to Otto. Now, apparently, when they actually pitched this movie to Paramount, initially they pitched it as Animal House on a plane. It's obviously not what it is.
Nope.
But it was what they were trying to do to gain interest. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even close to Animal House on a plane. It's hilarious.
It's a whole nother movie. It's a whole still is raunchy, still is hilarious, but it's a whole nother movie. Yeah. So, yeah. And actually, the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams all passed on doing Airplane 2, the sequel, which is another spoof movie, because they were actually they felt they exhausted every airplane gag they could for this movie.
It was a good call.
It was a very good call. And if you haven't seen Airplane 2, is basically they try to make it the exact same movie, but they got some other old actors in it. So they got like John Vernon and a couple other people. But yeah, the main villain or the main like antagonist in the movie is William Shatner,
which is about the only thing it's really got going for it.
Exactly. So instead of Airplane, this time it actually is a space shuttle headed to like the moon or something along those lines. I believe that was the name of it.
We should just call it Moonraker. Get it over.
Bond in space. We're doing a Moonraker episode. We got to do a Moonraker. We should do a whole, once we start doing watch-alongs again, we should do a whole month of just Bond movies.
A whole month of Bond movies? Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, just like pick one. Each of us pick one or whatever. Like maybe like a Bond a week. Like what's our favorite? What's a favorite Connery movie of ours, or what's a favorite Moore movie? Favorite Dalton movies? Only two of them. Shouldn't be too damn hard.
Which one? I'm gonna go with the other one.
We had the rock paper scissors for fucking Timothy Dalton. All right, License to Kill or Living Daylights. Ready? Rock paper scissors.
What'd you do? I couldn't say.
All right. You want to do it? For real?
Go for it.
All right, cool. All right, so if I get it, we're going to do best out of three. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then show what we got. I'm going for Living Daylights. You're going for License to Kill.
Okay, but we're just going to do sudden death. No best out of three.
You sure?
Yeah.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, show you shit. I can't see. I can't show you shit. I can't see. All right, ready? All right, ready?
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, here we go.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Fuck! All right, so when we do Timothy Dalton, we're watching License to Kill.
All right.
Fine. I'm upset. I like both of them.
I know. I'm just saying, it's like, what's the downside? You get to watch a Bond film?
I get to watch a Bond movie, yeah. Whoa, woe is me. It's not the Bond movie I want to watch, even though I've seen every goddamn single one of them.
Even though you've memorized every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how you won Geeks Who Drink.
That's right. That's a very good point. All right, back to this. I'm really liking this podcast. This is fun. Okay, so the dialogue scene between Stryker and Roommate, the famous scene that everybody knows. Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. That shit was actually voted number 79 on AFI's 100 greatest movie quotes.
I mean, honestly, you can't go anywhere without running into it. I mean, hell, like that was one of Michael Scott's go-tos in The Office.
Yeah, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Stop calling me Shirley. I let you say that shit. He's not calling you Shirley. He says Shirley. But yeah, it's such a crazy little line. And then, like, because of the fact it's just delivered with such intensity from Leslie Nielsen. You know what I'm saying? It's just so funny. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Since we talked about Peter Graves and Captain Over and all that, now, did you know the original line for when the kid asked, like, have you been in the cockpit before? You know what the original line was?
No, seriously, I'm scared. It was already.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a scene where they have a little boy come into who's never been into an airplane cockpit before, come into the cockpit and visit the pilots. The main pilot, Captain Over, Peter Graves, takes a liking to the boy. Hey, Jimmy, Timmy or Jimmy, whatever the boy's name, you ever been in an airplane before? No, you ever been in a cockpit before? No, I've never been in an airplane before. And the line is, you ever seen a grown man naked?
Well, later on, there's the other one where he comes back with him too, and he asks him, "Have you ever been to a Turkish bath before?"
No, Turkish prison.
Turkish prison. Sorry, that's what it was.
Yeah. You ever been to but after that, you ever been to a gymnasium?
Okay, so what was the original?
The original scene is, have you ever seen a grown man's cock?
That doesn't even make sense. You ever
that was the original line, bro.
That was better. It needed that rewrite.
Yeah. You ever seen a grown man naked? You ever watch movies about gladiators? So gross.
Hey.
All right. But since you brought him up, let's talk about Otto, the automatic pilot. Now, they actually kept Otto. Jerry Zucker did. He kept Otto for years. But apparently, ultimately, poor Otto disintegrated from just being kept in the garage for years.
Well, I mean, he was made out of plastic.
Yeah. But yeah, when he deflates and she has to inflate him through the manual thing on his belt, it's a little tube on his belt. Pull it out and blow on it. And she starts blowing him, and the face turns into a smiley face. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I did." Leslie Nielsen steps in on it. He's like,
closes the door, walks back out.
that shit was too funny. And then afterwards, they're smoking a cigarette together. Her and Otto. Oh man. Funny enough, Robert Hayes, Ted Stryker, is actually a real life pilot. He's actually a licensed pilot. Is that Judy?
Mm-hmm. My
Hey,
wife.
Judy. You can say hey. Judy can say hey on the show.
You can say hey on the show.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Hi, Judy.
How are you?
Chilling.
Same.
Yeah, there's really nothing else we can do right now.
Not much else.
Exactly. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Robert Hayes is actually a real life pilot. Apparently he completed his training right before he actually did the movie. So
he looked natural.
So he was already a pilot, yeah. Now apparently, there actually was a lawsuit, a threatened lawsuit going along with this movie. Apparently, Universal Studios threatened to sue after they found out they were trying to get Helen Reddy to repeat her role as the singing nun from Airport 75. They tried to get her into the movie. And also George. They also were trying to get George Kennedy, who was also in that movie. He was one of the pilots in Airport 75. Now they didn't get George Kennedy for this movie, but of course they would get George Kennedy later as Ed in the Nick Gunn movies. So they got him eventually.
Yeah, but it probably made for a lot less lawsuit to go to the Naked Gun movie.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, still, yeah, it is what it is, man. They let it go once they with somebody else. So like we were talking about the budget, the movie actually cost $3.5 million altogether, and took only 34 days to make altogether.
That's not bad at all. Not for everything they got in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and this is one of my favorite scenes. I got to get out of here where the fucking chick starts the hysterical passenger. Everybody starts coming in, taking a turn, knocking it down. Apparently, that was actually improvised on the spot. The original scene, which is actually from a scene in 0 Hour, where apparently they call for a stewardess to calm down the customer, and then another customer tells the stewardess he'll be able to calm her down, and then slaps her, and then it just ends there. That's in the original movie 0 Hour. However, in this movie, they decided to extend it, and actually, the lady who was like hysterical was actually suggesting to the directors, like, "Hey, you should make this keep going long," and then forming like a slap line. But a whole bunch of people trying to do different shit to her. And then like they added props to it, so you see people with like boxing gloves and like crowbars and chains and shit about to knock this lady out. Also, apparently during the rehearsal, Leslie Nielsen, when he slapped her, he actually slapped the shit out of her for real. The part where he does the second slap, yeah, that was all improvised by him. Like pop, and then like pop, he actually slapped her.
It's one of those things that proves why you actually need stunt performers.
Say that again?
It's one of those things that actually proves why you need stunt performers.
Yeah, but hey, it worked out well because it's a classic scene. And also, the one scene where they're landing and there's the one lady trying to apply her makeup, whatever, it's all over her face. That's actually the Zucker brothers' mother.
Oh, really? Oh,
that's their mom. Yeah, she's got a lot of. That's their mom. So, and actually, she's gonna show up again too. I'll show you that a little bit later. Also, Ethel Merman, when they got her in there, when it was in the war with all the injured soldiers, and then the one soldier thinks he's Ethel Merman. You'll be swell. You'll be great. You'll have your whole life on the plate. Cause everything's coming up. Oh. War as hell. That's a funny fucking scene. But yeah, apparently it took her. Apparently she. They brought her there early that morning, but she didn't get on set till noon because it took the whole morning just to do her hair. So.
All right.
Okay, Ethel. Apparently, a year after the movie's release, Woody Allen actually went on to the Zucker brothers at a Knicks game and said how much he loved this movie.
So. I mean, that's some positive feedback.
Yeah, man. And then apparently, because the fact they were actually inspired by a lot of Woody Allen's like earlier comedies, so they were actually touched by the cinema. So it's nice. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. And there's another thing. The Kareem Abdul-Jabbar part was actually supposed to be Pete Rose.
Now, was that before or after his issues?
I believe is. Shit, I didn't really specify.
I'm just wondering if they dumped him around the same time and got too hot.
He was still playing baseball at the time, so I think it might have been before.
Okay, so he was just too busy.
Yeah, so. And they actually offered him $35,000 to appear in the movie, but he actually asked for $35,000 because he wanted to buy an Oriental rug.
You know, if they'd gotten Pete Rose in there, they'd actually have something going for a streak, a pretty negative streak for athletes or former athletes who appear in their films.
Oh yeah.
They got OJ and the Naked Gun. So they kind of ended up dodging a metaphor.
I never even thought about that. Oh my god.
Kind of works out, right?
Got a point shaver and a gambler and a murderer. All. Oh yeah. Okay. We'll get to the other disgraced sports star a little bit later. thought about that. Like, wow, yeah, they should have.
Look, they got Scream, and it's fantastic, and the man's an inspiration. So
it was meant to happen. Simple as that. It's meant to happen. Now, the singing nun they have in it is actually Maureen McGovern, the singer. Yeah, and of course, she's best known for the shit from the Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
It's got to be the morning after if you can hold up. Which is, I never knew about that song until South Park did it. With the succubus episode, remember? And how you got rid of the succubus was singing that song backwards. Yeah, it's got to be a morning after. And apparently she did another song like that for the Tower Inferno, We May Never Love Like This Again. So she was like big on those movies. And funny enough, since we're talking about Superman the movie as one of our watch-alongs, she actually did a version of the Can You Read My Mind shit as a pop song.
Oh, really?
It's on YouTube, dude. I've looked it up several times.
Look it up.
Can you read my mind? Do you know what it is you do to me?
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, this is fucking a fun podcast, man. We gotta watch that, bro. You can fly, you belong in the sky. You and I, we belong together. Man. I'm trying to laugh so hard at this shit, but it's fucking funny. Oh, okay. Probably watch that tonight. Actually, I'm posting that. I'm posting that on the Facebook page. I really am.
Oh God.
Okay, back to the podcast. Okay. All right. But yeah, the reason they put her in that movie as the singing nun is because of the fact the other different songs that she did, like The Morning After and shit for Tower Inferno. So they wanted to do something like that. Her doing something like that for their movie too. But she was singing Respect. Yeah. R-E-S-P-C-T. That what it means to me. R-E-S-P-C-T. Take care of TCP. Suck it to me. And making the dude she's making the black dude throw up.
One of the worst covers I've ever heard.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, folks. We're just having a good time over here, man. Hey, laugh with us, man. Enjoy it with us, man. We're having a good time. I can't look at you right now. Okay.
Did that help?
Okay. No, I didn't help at all. Okay. All right. Shit. All right. So so close. Okay. So the one scene where they have the from here to eternity scene. Yeah. Oh shit! I'm sorry. Oh.
Hey,
this is what we needed right now, right?
I guess.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Comedy.
All right. Okay. Whew. I'm sweating over there. All right. So the the one part where they have the from here to eternity skit where it's like Ted and Elaine on the beach and they get hit by the waves.
Yeah.
That's actually the same beach where Charlton Heston did the "Damn you," the thing from Planet of the Apes.
You blew it
That's
up.
the same beach. Yeah. Damn you! God damn you all to hell!
You blew it up, you maniacs!
You actually did it! You maniacs! Damn you! Oh, Charlton Heston. Okay. Oh yeah, there is actually a reference to the directors in the movie when you see the plane flying low above the buildings and shit, and knocks over a radio antenna. WZAZ, all disco all day. ZAZ is the Zucker Abrams Zucker.
Okay.
That's how they refer to themselves, ZAZ. I think they actually in the movies credited as ZAZ.
Okay.
Yeah. And they actually expressed some disappointment in the movie because certain scenes and certain jokes didn't really make as much an impact as they thought it would. I think this one was like there's like somebody threw a spear or some shit out of nowhere, and then like a watermelon fell down on the desk, and they didn't get as much a reaction from the audiences that they were hoping for.
Mm.
So it happens like that sometimes.
If they did it today, they probably had a protest.
True. Yeah. All right, so Robert Stack, who was actually 61 at the time he made this movie, did all his own stunts during that fight scene.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we was like doing the flipping and all that, all that shit. He's knocking out all the different religious groups that's coming up to him, like the Hare Krishnas and the Jehovah's Witness and like Church of Latter-day Saints. He's knocking them all down. Yeah, Robert Stack, man. Props to him, man. Oh yeah, we talked about this before, but for another podcast. Christopher Lee was actually offered Dr. Rumack. He turned it down. And he said that was a huge mistake.
Yeah, a little bit.
So he turned down Dr. Loomis in Halloween and Dr. Rumack in Airplane.
You think after that he'd take every doctor role that was offered him?
Actually, he did. Unfortunately, the doctor role he did take was in The Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
Okay, don't put in a sequel. I mean, for starters, don't take the doctor role in a sequel. It's probably not going to work out.
Actually, he did in another movie, Gremlins 2.
Sequel as a doctor?
Gremlins 2.
Okay, we're talking about the movie Worked Out.
You don't like Gremlins 2?
Look, I'm not saying it's not a guilty pleasure, but I'm just saying, like, from a commercial success point, it's not the most. It's not,
it wasn't nowhere near. It wasn't nowhere near as successful as the first one. Even though arguably the effects are much better than the second. Okay, I'll give you that.
Well, Rick Baker.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll give you that. The directors actually wanted David Letterman to audition for Ted Stryker because they were friends with him at the time. They said they liked his reading, but they saw that Letterman was visually uncomfortable with acting, and he was actually relieved when they said, we don't want you for this part.
Yeah, different skill set.
Yeah, so it happens. You know what I'm saying? Also, are you a fan of any Russ Meyer movies?
I think I might have seen one or two when I was in grad school, but I don't really remember them.
Well, for those of you who are not really initiated, Russ Meyer was a director known specifically for his his penchant for large-breasted women. So like movies like Ultra Vixens, Super Vixens, same thing, just lots of really big boobs. But one of his mainstays was a lady named Kitty Natavadid, I believe that's how you pronounce it. She actually has a cameo in this movie. The one part where they're like in turbulence and it's like the jello shaking, you see the girl's tits shaking. Mm-hmm. That's Kitty Natavadid.
Well, got her for what she was known for, right? So
yeah. So, but yeah, that's her. So that's funny. Now, when they actually approached Robert Stack about doing the movie, they wanted him to do.
Oh man, I think I lost you again. Hello? You there, man? This isn't good. Well, how about this? This is Annie Oakley. Just gonna say hi while we wait. Be like Dr. Evil waiting for JD to come back. JD! Yeah. Oh, there we go. I lost you.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah.
I was just talking. So I saw the dog. Like, where the fuck did the dog come from?
Well, I was trying to keep it interesting on my end because I didn't have anything to say and I don't know where you were going. So, I mean, I could jump in with a different fact, but I didn't want to derail it when I finally got you back. So
I'm just stating facts. That's all it was.
I know.
Yeah. And like a little riddle within a riddle here. Now, the like we talked about earlier, the one scene where Ted and Elaine meet in a bar and they do a dance sequence from Saturday Night Fever, to Staying Alive and whatnot. Now, at that time, Robert Hayes, Ted, was actually on a show called Angie, like a sitcom. He was like the boyfriend of the main character. The main character is actually that girl from Saturday Night Fever, the one I forgot her actual name, but she was the one that's trying to get with Tony the whole movie, the short chick.
Okay.
Yeah, it was her. She was Angie, and then like they having to do this whole dance, Saturday Night Fever sequence, and he's on the show with her at the time. So just weird coincidence, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, she can already dance, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah. Also, and this is a weird cameo. Jimmy J.J. Walker. That was a weird cameo where he's like doing like the engine work on the plane. He's like checking the oil and all this shit. Now he makes the cameo as the windshield wiper and doing the shit on the plane. He actually co-starred in Airplane 79, the Concorde, the year before that. So he's in one of the airport movies. And then by chance coincidence, the producer of this movie met Jimmy and asked him if he wanted to appear in this movie. Even though he didn't take the part seriously, he was contacted for just a small walk-on part. He thought it was just, and he actually apparently Jimmy Walker was only paid $600 to do what he did. Just $600. So he didn't take it seriously. He could have got a bigger part, but he didn't take it seriously. So.
Well, but I mean, that's kind of like a through line, because that's what I was just thinking about. It's kind of like a through line in everything related to the kind of setup to this movie. So, like you were saying before, this thing was based on 0 Hour.
Yeah.
That was a Warner's film. They bought the rights from Warner's, and Warner's at the time thought it was just such a garbage property. They sold it for $2,500. So they got the rights to the film that they based this whole ridiculous thing on for $25.
Yeah, they own the rights to 0 Hour. Yep.
I mean, like even adjusting for inflation. Okay, so even if they sold them the rights for $25,000 or $250,000 or $2.5 million today, like to just sell it totally for that and then have it turn into this is insane.
True, I'll give you that. Apparently, Sigourney Weaver actually auditioned for the role of Elaine. She didn't get it though. It would have been different. Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
I like Julie Haggerty's little soft little voice. It just makes it.
You need that.
Yeah. Everything is fine and everything's under control, and we should be landing shortly. By the way, does anybody on board know how to fly a plane? That's one of my favorite lines of that movie, man.
Sigourney Weaver's too tough for that role.
Way too tough.
Way too tough.
I couldn't see it either. This was the fourth most popular movie of 1980 in both U.S. and Canada. Apparently, other people who were considered for Ted Stryker were Bill Murray and Chevy Chase. Yeah. Also, I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, yeah, Robert Wall. What's his name? Knox was actually offered. Actually auditioned for Ted Stryker. So
I could have seen.
Yeah, I could have seen it too. And also, they also thought about Barry Manilow as Ted Stryker. Yeah, see your reaction right there. Yeah, they're probably So,
I could have seen him act. I know it musically, but.
Oh, I didn't mention this one. Oh yeah, no, who else auditioned for Ted? Bruce Jenner.
All right. I mean, that would have been interesting.
So Bruce Jenner, Pete Rose, and O.J. Simpson walk into a bar.
They're all in a Zucker picture.
Oh man.
Shit, you know what? We could make that movie now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Bruce Jenner, but I mean, we basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could make that movie now. We could get
I
Caitlyn.
was, I was wondering where you.
And we
I
could
was wondering where you're going with that.
I'm just casting. I'll let the Zucker.
Man. Oh man! Oh yeah, I was including some of the. You want to talk about some of the other old school actors who were initially offered this movie? Ephraim Ziblis Jr., who most of my generation would know as Alfred from Batman animated series. He's the voice of Alfred. Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-0, and Jack Webb. They were all
That
offered.
would have been an interesting one.
Yeah.
He'd fit.
Joe Friday in Airplane.
He was a big guy too.
Yeah, I know.
I was watching because a lot of actors, a lot of big time, celebrities and stuff, like they're, average at best, maybe a little bit smaller usually. But this dude, he was like 6'5" or something. He was a massive man.
He was a pretty big dude. Like a lot of people don't give him the credit for that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, it was the way they shot him. He didn't seem as big as like he actually.
Yeah, they had everybody else walking around on a series of apple boxes. They didn't look tiny next to him.
Crazy. All right, so that's all I have for Airplane. Now let's go to another favorite of ours, The Naked Gun, from the Files of Police Squad. Now, as the title of the first movie implies, it's actually a continuation of the cult series Police Squad that was actually on ABC for like all of one season. Wasn't even a season. It was like 4 or 5 episodes.
It was a limited run.
A very limited run. But they had some really funny shit on that limited run. All the episodes, I believe, are on YouTube. And they went all part of the thing is a lot of the gags that they did in the Naked Gun movies, they actually started on Police Squad, the TV series. Like the giant dude where you don't see his head, you know what I'm saying? And like that guy, like he's in that shit. The dude that does all the gadgets, he's in Police Squad, the TV show. Norberg and Ed are also in the show, but they were cast as different actors. So they kept a lot of the same in there. And then one thing they would do on the show is they would always have this big guest star, but the guest star would always be like a dead body at the beginning of the episode. So the most famous one, I believe, was John Belushi.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a dead dude in a pool. That's the big guest. Again. That was the big guest star. Right before he passed away.
I was gonna say again, it's one of those like.
Yeah, very ironic, but yeah, it was right before he passed away. Oh man. But yeah, I think at one point where they were trying to, they actually changed the name from Police Squad, the movie, to Naked Gun because of the fact that they didn't want to confuse it with Police Academy. They wanted it to be its own thing. Those movies that come out, so they wanted to, differentiate it. But they did add on from the Files of Police Squad. And yeah, they've been trying to make it as they was disappointed by the TV reception of the series, so they're like, you know what? But the critical reception among fans was huge. Like you got good, like you got okay ratings, but the critical response is huge. They kept rerunning it because it was so funny. Yeah. So yeah, they decided to make a series of it. Now, the studio actually insisted on them casting an Oscar winner in one of the major parts, so they decided to go with George Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Won an Oscar, and also, like I said, they tried to get him for Airplane. Now they got him for the Naked Gun. Worked out just fine. Yeah, and he actually apparently he was furious at the chance of making a fool of himself in Airplane. But that's what he really wanted to do. But he didn't want to get the wrath of Universal, so that was understandable.
Well, he got his opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the climax scene where they have Queen Elizabeth watching, Oakland, what is it, the Oakland A's?
Oakland A's.
Watching the baseball team. Watching a baseball game or whatever. Yeah. So what happened was, in real life, Queen Elizabeth actually did attend a Oakland A's versus Baltimore Orioles game in Maryland, and she also met Reggie Jackson in real life. So
life imitating art.
And this is like years later too. And then apparently Leslie Nielsen himself met Queen Elizabeth in 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he humped her impersonator in 1988, but he actually met the real chick in 2005.
But that
Oh,
was a character he was playing. It's fine.
I love Frank Drebin, man. Frank Drebin is such a great character, man. It really is. And oh yeah, the one part where he's like impersonating the umpire, and then he gets like hit in the face, like somebody swinging a bat and hits him in the face. That joke was actually suggested by Mel Brooks.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's that. And oh yeah, the chick that plays Norberg's wife, Susan Bobian. She would actually appear years later in the American Crime Story show, The People versus O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
And she played O.J.'s wife in this.
Yeah, I mean, she just can't seem to get away from it.
Oh, that's wrong. It's so wrong. I don't want to laugh at that. Oh, she can't seem to get away from it.
But it's funny.
It's very funny.
It's also true. At least she's getting paid. It could be worse. Could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. I agree. It could be a lot. What the fuck, AJ? I called you OJ. What the fuck, OJ? Oh, sorry, AJ. Oh man. Okay. Now getting back to the movie. Now, the one scene I love too, where Frank Drebin's where they talking about Frank Drebin shooting some actors in a park. Now, I don't want the same thing that happened in whatever the district was. Well, I see 5 guys stabbing a guy in the middle of a park. I shoot the bastards. That's my policy. That was a Shakespeare in the Park production of Julius Caesar, you moron. You killed 5 actors. Now the whole exchange was, of course, a parody of Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood and John Vernon, and the whole get down was I don't want to make problems like in the film editions. Well, when I catch a guy about to commit rape, I shoot the bastard. That's my policy. Rape? How'd you say it's that? Hey, how'd you establish that? Well, when I see a guy naked with a butcher knife and a hard on, I figure he's not our collector for the Red Cross. And John Vernon's like, I think he's got a point.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's where they got that line from Dirty Harry, which is great. And if you actually look on in the one part where they go to Frank Drebin's refrigerator, you see all the spoiled food and shit. You see his mayonnaise and it's dated 1982. That's when Police Squad was on there, 1982. So gross. And then another crazy thing about that scene where you see him asking her if you want something to eat, and you see the cheese, the moldy cheese behind him crawling.
Yeah.
So like, wow, like, ugh. Apparently, Weird Al Yankovic actually used that same little exchange in a music video of his, with the moldy cheese moving and everything.
Yeah, but he uses something from everybody's everything else. I mean, that's kind of what he is. He's like a remix artist.
Yeah, and also another the gratuitous cameo, Dr. Joyce Brothers. that was actually a spoof of freaking apparently she would appear on like the $64,000 question. It's just like an anonymous like source or whatever. Like what the fuck, Dr. Joyce Brothers? So it was like all these different sportscasters and Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Like
Dick Vitale, all those guys. And also Ricardo Montalban, who played Vincent Ludwig, was picked because of the fact the directors love Wrath of Khan, Star Trek. So they picked him from that. We are still going to watch that. You're going to watch that movie, man.
Yeah.
Because we keep referencing in the show, but you got to watch that movie.
It's on my list.
That's right. That's so enthusiastic.
I got a long list. There's lots of movies and TV shows I still got to catch up on. I mean, look, I'm good, but they keep making more, man. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier with Freakazoid. Same thing. Like they called him Montauban. They kept asking him to do Khan.
Well, and I was gonna say the other thing too is I'm married, so now I not only have all like the regular geeky stuff I like to get into, but I've also got to take turns, got to share that whole thing. So like I'm watching old shows from the 90s and 80s that like I never really cared about before, but my wife's into, so I'm gonna learn about it. That's how I get her to watch my shows. So it's a give and take. It takes a little longer to get through everything.
I got you. Oh, I got you completely. And and the one part where the Vincent Ludwig character, Ricardo Montalban, offers Frank Drebin a cigar. He said, Cuban? No, Dutch Irish. My mother was from Wales. That's actually real. Leslie Nielsen's mom's from Wales. So that's a real life little nudge they put in there. Oh yeah, another thing they used to do on a TV show that they're not doing this movie. At the end of the episode, they always fake a freeze frame. You know how cop shows are usually in like a freeze frame, like if someone's laughing or something like that. They would fake a freeze frame, and there would usually be somebody in the background still moving. Like they fake a freeze frame, and you see the janitor still like sweeping up and shit, and just looking at them like,
"What's wrong with you?"
"Yeah, what's wrong with y'all?" And they just like sitting there like. They should have did it in the movie, but yeah, they didn't. Um, actually, oh yeah, another spoof they did in the movie that I didn't know about. The conversation between Ludwig and the criminal dude Pap Schmear in his office. Apparently, the whole thing about sensory-induced hypnosis was actually a spoof of a movie called Telephone, where it was actually Charles Bronson and he was giving a demonstration of drug-induced hypnosis. But apparently, it was a direct parody of that particular scene. So I didn't realize that either. Oh yeah, and then when Frank meets Jane, when he does like the internal dialogue or whatever, the narration, yeah, and apparently most of that was based on Philip Marlowe in the movie Farewell My Lovely, the Robert Mitchum movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was basically old private eye detective film noir movie where he does the first person narration and stuff. He was like, she had the red dress and like, her hair was the color of gold. I like Leslie Nielsen, like she had long, beautiful hair, and she had the kind of legs you like to suck on. I like it the second one too. He does something similar when he sees her again. Like she's like she's so beautiful, and she had the kind of breast that make you say, "Hey, look at these." She's the kind of woman that made you want to get down on your knees and thank God you were born a man. Yeah, she reminded me of my mother. That's for sure. And then right after that, George Kennedy comes to hey Frank, step out of me. You look at her like she's your mother. It's so stupid. Oh, what is baby now with her? Oh, man. Okay. So we were talking about Jane. Jane Spencer in the movie was actually played by Priscilla Presley. You know who the first choice was?
No, I don't. I said
Bo Derek.
That would have made sense. That would have been good casting.
Bo Derek is Jane. just seeing beautiful Bo Derek do some silly shit just like Priscilla Presley does in this movie. So
I mean, the only person I can think of that was kind of on the same level but a little ahead of her that got close was Raquel Welch in Mother Jugs and Speed.
That's right, yeah. And also Raquel Welch was in the third Naked Gun.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then she ends up swallowing. She was swallowing the microphone. Because it's supposed to be Raquel Welch and Frank is supposed to be Phil Donahue.
Yeah.
And he keeps screwing up or whatever. And they're like, at one point he falls down, knocks her into the podium, and she swallows the mic. Oh, man, that was funny. And apparently, we talked about the baseball game. Now, the baseball game is supposed to be, the California Angels Stadium, but in actuality, and very clearly, it's Dodger Stadium. Very clear.
Wants to drive all the way over to Disney.
True. Yeah. Plus, like, it's Dodger Stadium. So like freaking like it's still great to see, you know what I'm saying? And the whole sequence that they have in the movie where actually funny enough, the end sequence where he finally gets Ludwig with the poison dart.
Yeah.
And then like in the shit at the end where he gets hit by a bus. He gets hit by what is it? Oh, a truck, a bus, steamroller, and the USC marching band. While they play Louie Louie. but more even ironic than that, that's actually the third villain in 1988 in a movie to be run over by a steamroller. The third one. Because it also happened in A Fish Called Wanda.
Right.
And Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
And then by the time we got to the 90s, we're doing it in the most ridiculous way in Austin Powers.
No!
Oh, get out of the way!
No! Michael McDonald from Mad TV, by the way. That was the guy. Yeah. And did I tell you I did a Mad TV skit with him?
No.
Oh, well, I went to a taping of Mad TV when I was still in the military. I was dating a girl at the time. Went to a taping through her, and they asked for certain people to come to the audience and do like a little scene with Marvin Tikva, his Jewish character. Come on, Shelly, come on. Yeah, so I did one.
Shelly.
Come on, Shelly, come on. Yeah, so I did a thing with him. So yeah, and it's funny because I'm sitting there wearing a Fantastic Four T-shirt. I don't know where that clip is. I've seen similar clips because apparently he did it at different shows, like where he would get somebody at the audience and do some improv with them, and then like thank them or whatever for doing the show. I've seen other clips with other people, but I haven't seen specifically mine. So I would love somebody to do that.
That was actually one of my favorite characters of his. That and Stewie.
Yeah, I like Stewie.
Molly.
What character I really liked that I felt was underrated? The depressed Persian tow truck man.
So which one?
The depressed Persian tow truck man.
Oh yeah.
You pick somebody up, put them in their tow truck, and no matter what their life was like, his life was always worse. And it something slightly mad. Your life is even better than the depressed Persian tow truck man. I like the depressed Persian tow truck. Oh yeah, another funny coincidence. Both Priscilla Presley and George Kennedy actually starred on Dallas at different times, but they were both main characters on Dallas.
Huh.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's a funny little nexus.
Exactly. Yeah. Apparently, Priscilla Presley played Jenna Wade on Dallas from 1983 to 1988. Then she left, and then Kennedy joined the cast as Carter McKay from 88 to 91. And actually, she left Dallas to star in this movie.
I mean, not a bad call.
Not a bad call at all. And this is a fucked up fact that I knew you would get a kick out of. Fun fact about oh my god, I can't believe they actually put this shit on IMDb. As of 2019, O.J. Simpson is the only cast member of The Naked Gun to be tried for double murder.
Twice. Civil and criminal. I wonder, here's where they kind of let us down, though. The real question is he the only one to have gone to prison for a felony for robbing back his own stuff?
Oh, shit. Yeah, no. No, that's not on here, too, but it should have been at this point.
You know what? Or maybe some other people just have better press agents that manage to keep them out of the news.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? All I know is if O.J. Simpson hired them for public relations, you probably shouldn't because man has none left.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I got for Naked Gun. Next movie, which is one we have not talked about yet, we should, Hot Shots.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't done, Hot Shots was not done by the Zucker brothers, but it was done by Jim Abrams.
Yeah.
He would kind of strike on his own thing. The Hot Shots series It's just Jim Abrams. Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2, both Jim Abrams. Yeah, so kind of did his own thing.
Chicken.
Yeah, with the chicken. Yeah. But the first movie, Hot Shots 1, was based obviously on Top Gun. Very obviously on Top Gun. So they had Charlie Sheen instead of Tom Cruise, and they had Carrie Elways instead of Val Kilmer. They had what's her name, Valeria Golino instead of Kelly McGillis. Yeah, I think I forgot the actor's name, but it was like it was a fat, kind of a big dude who's supposed to be like the Tom Skerritt character, I believe.
Oh,
I forgot the actor's name.
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head either. Shit.
Yeah, but he was basically the Tom Skerritt character.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the whole movie is basically a parody of Top Gun, and they had one character. Actually, discussed this with a friend of mine because I knew we were doing the show tonight. It was basically a parody of Goose. Dead Meat.
Yeah.
That was so on the nose, but so fucking hilarious. Well, like if most people who have never seen the movie, that one ancillary character in the movie where it's like his life is going in the right direction. He's about. If it's like Boys in the Hood, he was Ricky. You know what I'm saying? He was, football star, about to go to college, about to, pop to the NFL.
He's
life for himself.
That's just gonna retire in the next 2 days. He's 2 days away from retirement. He's got
and getting that big property in Montana, and then all of a sudden he gets killed. That's basically Dead Meat. He's basically Dead Meat, yeah. And then I love how Dead Meat, all the stuff that was happening right before he goes on this plane, where it's like he goes under like a ladder, a black cat runs by him, and then his wife pulls out her compact and breaks him. Oh, I broke my mirror. And then he's talking about I bought all this property. We're gonna have a new house, and I just won a lottery ticket. A lottery tickets only, and also I found out who killed JFK for real, and also found the cure for cancer. Also with me on here. They're like, you sure you should keep all that stuff with me? I'm in an airplane. What can go wrong? Man, that shit is so fucking funny. And then they finally, of course,
who killed Epstein, right?
Yeah. And then, of course, all the horrible things do happen to him, and he ends up in the hospital. And they're like, "You gonna be okay? I'm in the hospital. What can go wrong?" Next shot is his funeral. Man. But yeah, it has characters like that. It had had Charlie Sheen as Topper Harley, who was the main character, named after a type of Harley, the Topper. Yeah. They had John Cryer as Washout with Walleye Vision. With his crazy vision where he's seeing everything like telescopically, like shut up, man. Everybody's all. They had Yeah, Christy Swanson is the one female. They had Carrie Elways. I forgot his name. I forgot the name of his character, but it's like Val Kilmer, basically. He's basically Iceman. So, but it's Carrie Elways though, because he's like a British proper Iceman. And then the running gag throughout the whole movie was like tripping by his chafing dish. And then I like how they finally asked him in the end, like, I want to ask you something. What was the chafing dish for? Oh, it's for my podcast. I thought it was a crock pot. No, you're thinking of roast beef. No. Chafing dish.
So ridiculous.
You true about that chafing dish though. But yeah, okay. So one scene that they do parody that actually does go back to the Bridges family. And there's a bar scene where they had the Valeria character singing and dancing on a piano top, basically talking about basically making fun of the Fabulous Baker Boys, starring Bo and Jeff Bridges, and she's doing the Michelle Pfeiffer thing. And I love how she's like trying to be sexy, and she falls off the goddamn thing. It's just so silly, man. And actually, apparently, this movie was so popular that it was actually chosen by for the 1991 Royal Film Performance by the Queen. The Queen actually liked Hot Shots.
Or at least whoever she let curate her collection.
Yeah, so well, somebody like Hot Shots over there, man. Apparently, most of the aircraft carrier scenes is actually taken from another movie, Flight of the Intruder from 1991.
Yeah.
So they use a lot of that stuff. Charlie Sheen. Again?
They didn't have money to go out and get their own. It's a spoof comedy.
True.
And this is like he was still coming up.
Yeah. And then Charlie Sheen actually says during the flight scene where they're like fighting the enemy, and he's like doing all these crazy tricks with his plane, like, and he does like some shit where he does like a flipping shit with the trick. Like he says, I learned this from Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
Now at the time, Paula Abdul was actually married to his brother Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironic.
Well, it's nice when they can pepper in some of those real life things.
Yeah, man.
Like that was what was so great about Lloyd Bridges' eulogy.
Oh,
he just starts dropping all the names of the 5 families, like talking about the like bars.
I was actually about to get into that. Yeah, he drops the names of the 5 families from The Godfather. And I love the funeral too, when he gets like shell shook when they do the salute. Oh no, the back. He starts pulls on the car and starts shooting at the color guard and shit. Have they no respect? We gotta watch Hot Shots, bro. He starts shooting the color guard. Have they no respect for the dead? He's like, damn, I love a good funeral. Oh man. Speaking of which, Admiral Benson himself was actually offered initially to Leslie Nielsen, but he actually turned it down, saying, "I've done enough spoof movies right now. I'm gonna take a break." But he still was going to do more spoof movies. But of course, they offered it to Lloyd Bridges, who was also on Airplane too. And same thing with Leslie Nielsen. Lloyd Bridges would do these type of movies to his death. I think the last movie he made was Mafia, which is actually makes fun of the Godfather.
Austin's Mafia, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This movie.
Yep. That was his last movie before he passed away. Respect for the dead. And I was watching when he one of my favorite intro scenes in a movie ever was when he comes in, like they do the he comes in from the plane. He's like salutes, but there's no ramp, so he falls straight down. And he always talk about like all the different parts of his body that are no longer really his. So, yeah. And he's obviously scatterbrained as a motherfucker, man. But yeah, such a great character. I love when he's like looking in the. He comes and meets them for the first time. He's like wearing jockey pants for no real reason, and then like, and he looks at the crowd or like the crew members or whatever. He's like, I look at all the men in here and I can't think to myself what I wouldn't give to be 20 years younger and a woman. So silly but great, man. Like, and then like I said, delivered with that straight, that straight intensity and shit. Also, there's a gag credit at the end of the movie, like things you can do after the movie, and it looks like a little thing. They also had really great gag credits in the Brothers. So yeah, so just weird stuff like that, man. And funny enough, 3 of the cast members, Charlie Sheen, John Cryer, and Ryan Stiles from Whose Line Is It Anyway, who's also in this movie, they will all end up working together on 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ryan Stiles had a recurring part, and then Charlie and John were like the 2 main guys. So
again, for a minute anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing. And then actually, the song that the girl is singing on the piano thing, their mom actually sang it on the show. The man, I think the name of the song, "The Man I Love." Yeah, that's the name of the song.
Yeah, all right. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I love how they the name of one of the names of the ship is the SSSS. So it's SS S dot S dot ESSES. The SSSS. I love little shit like that. Oh yeah, and also when they're doing like at the beginning when he's like Tyler Harley's like in this like Indian reservation or whatever, he's like having a conversation with the Indian chief and it's just complete gibberish. And at one point he's like naming like different cars like Haha, Winnebago, Dick Dong, Rickshaw. And he starts naming like different members of the Jackson family, Latoya, Tito, Jermaine. Oh yeah, and then I think another thing they start naming towns in Minnesota. Minnesota, Arano, Ewatona. Like just names in Minnesota. It's weird shit like that, man. And yeah, oh yeah, this is another fun fact. Christy Swanson, who we talked about in the movie, the only girl of the crew,
Right.
she would actually go on to star with Charlie Sheen in one of my favorite movies, Chase, like 3 years later.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Chase, yeah. The
Yeah.
Chase. For those of you who have not seen The Chase is a killer fucking movie.
Yeah, it's good.
And then all the rock star cameos, like, Flea and Anthony Kiedis. Henry Rollins plays one of the cops. Yeah. It's a killer movie.
It's a solid film for sure.
Yes, sir.
First time I saw it would have been like maybe Comedy Central or something back on basic cable, or maybe USA, like forever ago.
I watched it when it first debuted on HBO. Yeah. It quickly became one of my favorite movies because, like, it's in constant motion the entire movie. It's a car chase.
Yep.
The entire movie's a car chase. So it's a really good movie if you get a chance to check it out. Oh, yeah, and then since we talked about the funeral scene, that was actually at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. They shot that there.
Yeah, they still shoot a lot of stuff there. It's kind of interesting, but I mean, that's just the way they are.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I have for Hot Shots. Now, those are our three main movies that we're talking about. Now, both of us have an honorable mention in terms of spoof movies that we both love. I'm going to go ahead and let you go first, AJ. What was your honorable mention?
Oh, my honorable mention, just pulling my notes here, is actually The Young Frankenstein. So Gene Wilder, Cloris Leachman, who, I mean, if you don't know, if both of those names haven't already kind of rung a bell for you, you need to sit down and look them up right away, because talk about like comedic gods. I mean, and Cloris is still out there making stuff today. I actually was fortunate enough about 5-6 years ago, I was working behind the scenes doing like an electronic press kit for a movie she was in. Woman still sharp as can be and freaking hilarious to work with.
Nice.
So anyway, so that's part of why I went down to it. So if you don't know the concept here behind it, the main thing you need to keep in mind is that, again, talking about spoof comedies, it's a spoof of the old Frankenstein movies. So Wilder is a younger doctor, and he's always constantly correcting everyone. It's not Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein. Frankenstein is the name. His crazy uncle has died and left him his property in Transylvania, so he has to go out there to go take over the property, which is basically being run by Igor, which was Marty Feldman.
No. It's Igor.
Igor. Exactly, Igor. And he happens upon his crazy uncle's research to reanimate a corpse, which is played by Peter Boyle. And it's just freaking hilarious. I mean, you have like the spinning bookcase, they have that old trope of like the hidden compartments and stuff. He gets slammed between the wall and the bookcase at one point when it's spinning around. It's absolute comic mastery at a minimum. It's about no other way to put it than that. I mean, it's Gene Wilder. Like, how do you beat?
The introduction scene with Frankenstein and Igor is
it's hilarious. The back and forth.
But because it starts so sinister, but then it becomes really silly. Dr. Frankenstein. Frankenstein. You put me on. No, it's pronounced Frankenstein. Oh, you must be Igor. No, it's pronounced Igor. I thought it was Igor. Well, you thought wrong, didn't you? And then walk this way with the cane. Stupid shit like that. And then you talk about Cloris Leachman as Frau Blucher. And I kept wondering why they kept doing that, and then I looked it up, and Blucher in German means blue. That's why the horses were tripping.
Oh yeah, because they hate hearing. Yeah, of course they hate hearing. Makes them think of the end.
I love how after they go inside, Marty Feldman comes back out and does it just to do it. And then what's the name? When he finds the brain, it's what? That was the name on the brain? Yes. Abby somebody. Abby who? Abby Normal. Let me get this straight. You put an abnormal brain. You had me put an abnormal brain into this creature. Yes. Yes. Oh, what's the shit? The werewolf thing. Werewolf. Werewolf. What's the other good one? Fucking, there's so many good gags in that movie. But yeah, like saying, no one of those great Mel Brooks movies. I love the Peter Boyle, Gene Wilder putting on the Ritz.
Yeah, well, and I mean, even earlier, I was gonna say with like Marty Feldman with the hump shifting on his back. So as the humpback,
oh yes,
his hump is constantly moving around from scene to scene.
And when they're referencing in the movie, it was something like, "Hey, wasn't your hump on the other side? What hump?" Stuff like that. Yeah.
I think Gene said this was his favorite, or like one of his favorite films that he ever made.
Yeah, you must have an amazing strong stucker. That goes without saying. So silly. Yeah, and where fashion sits.
Well, and then that whole, and the other one too, the whole ad-lib scene between Cloris Leachman and Dr. Frankenstein about the warm milk.
Oh yeah, it's so stupid. It's just a bunch of silly stuff like that. I love Young Frankenstein too. Do I love it as much as some of the other ones? I'll be honest with you, no. But I do love a lot of the gags in Young Frankenstein. I'm sorry, it's just my personal opinion. Do I put like other movies like I definitely put Blazing Saddles and Robin Hood Men in Tights above Young Frankenstein.
Well, we both talked about it beforehand. Of course, Blazing Saddles ahead of it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's because it's so different from a lot of his other ones, even though obviously it's still the same. That's one of the things I like the most about it. Plus the amount of talent you've located in one specific film. And again, it's nothing against Robin Hood Men in Tights. That's freaking hilarious.
I'm about to say, we haven't even talked about Madeline Kahn.
We haven't talked about what?
Madeline Kahn.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just exploding with talent in this film.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. But anyway, that's why for me it'd be an easy honorable mention to go in for this side of stuff. And again, that's because we're going to do Black Dynamite separate. We're going to do Blazing Saddles separate.
Yes, we are. All right, now my honorable mention is another movie I would love us to do too. Yeah. Johnny Dangerously. This is one of those few that wasn't done by the Zucker brothers or the Wayans brothers or Mel Brooks. It was actually done by Amy Heckerling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely a different movie. But like I said, starring Michael Keaton, Joe Piscopo, Mary Lou Henner, Griffin Dunn, Danny DeVito's in it. And they had this crazy gag with Ray Walston as his like vendor. You know the newspaper guy who gets there's a running gag throughout the movie where this newspaper guy gets hit in the head with a stack of newspaper. He loses one of his senses. Like at one point he's like, he loses his hearing, he loses his sight, and then the last one, like I can hear again, and I can see. I can hear again, and I can see. But who am I? It's a great running gag too. But Johnny Dangerously is obviously based on the classic movies from the 1920s and 30s, the gangster movies like Jimmy Cagney, Edward G. Robinson, those type of movies. You know what I'm saying? It's Cuttings. It's those type of movies. The stuff you see in like Bugs Bunny cartoons. Yeah, that kind of shit.
The original Scarface.
Yeah. Stuff like that kind of stuff, yeah. But yeah, it's very funny movie too. Actually, one of the very first movies to get a PG-13 rating. So.
Oh, because they just come out with it not that much longer.
It had just come out. Yep, that's right. It just come out. Yep. So one of the very first PG-13 movies.
I mean, way back when Stripes was rated PG, and there's like nudity and all kinds of stuff now, drug use, all kinds of crazy stuff.
You know the very first one to get PG-13, right?
Shit, I do, but it just flew out of my brain. Was it
You want me to give you a hint?
Was it Gremlins?
No. Gremlins and Indiana Jones, which we talked about, help inspire PG-13, but they were not PG-13 movies. The very first movie to get the PG-13 movie. Like I said, you want me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wolverines.
Oh, that's right. Fucking
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Red Dawn. Yeah, that was the very first PG-13 movie with what's the name? With Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Talk about Charlie Sheen, Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey. Yep. Wasn't Leah Thompson in this shit too?
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those other type chicks. It was Ali Sheedy or Leah Thompson, one of those type chicks. All right, but yeah, going back to this movie itself. Now, now the actual DA in this movie is played by the crooked DA is played by Danny DeVito, and actually his headshot that they used is actually from Taxi, TV show he was
Oh yeah.
on.
Which
Yeah.
I always wonder how old he actually is, because if you watch like Taxi and everything, he looked like he was in his 40s when he was doing Taxi.
But then you look at like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he looks like a baby.
Yeah, but he's still got that receding hairline thing going.
Yeah, but he looks very young in the face and Cuckoo's
I'm
Nest.
just saying, one bald guy to another, he
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, the only reason I got hair right now is because I just don't give a shit.
You know what he could be? He could be like Steve Martin, because like you remember Steve Martin went gray like almost immediately after high school. So maybe he's
very young. Yeah,
just went bald like 20.
He's been gray since the 70s.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So with Danny, maybe Danny just went bald at like 20.
Maybe, yeah. Also, Michael Keaton, based his characterization of Johnny Dangerously, like I said, on James Cagney specifically. For legal reasons, they have a song for the movie. Weird Al Yankovic's "This Is Life."
Mm-hmm.
It's in the theatrical release of the movie, but for some reason it couldn't be on the home video release for legal reasons. The original one, anyway.
They probably didn't pay for the licensing. They probably had a limited theatrical run.
It's possible. Now, towards the end of the movie, Johnny Michael Keaton actually talks about going legit with his girl Lil, played by Mary Lou Henner, also from Taxi. So yeah, a lot of Taxi people in this movie. But at one point they talk about all the things they can do, like cats and dogs playing around, and then at one point he says, saying hi to a neighbor named Fred. That was a direct reference to Mr. Rogers, because Michael Keaton was a PA on the original Mr. Rogers Neighborhood.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was a PA. Well, and he was living in Pittsburgh at the time. That's where Mr. Rogers was shot. So yeah, he was a PA on the show. And actually, when Mr. Rogers died in 2003, Michael Keaton actually came back and hosted a memorial for Mr. Rogers. So yeah, he's always had a soft spot in his heart for Mr. Rogers, which is crazy. Yeah, man. Actually, Danny DeVito didn't think he was going to be able to shoot this movie because he was also shooting Romancing the Stone at the same time.
Okay.
But he barely made during this movie.
Squeeze that one in.
Yeah, exactly.
Good thing he did. I said it's a good thing he did. It was a good thing he did.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Amy Heckerling was actually very disappointed with the reception of the movie because of the fact it wasn't a box office hit. Like I said, I love it because of the fact I saw it on cable all the fucking time, and other kids like me loved it too. But yeah, she got to the point where she's like, you know what, I don't want to write no movies anymore. She actually just stuck to directing. I think the biggest hit she had after this was Wayne's World.
Okay, I'd take that. That was still a big hit.
Yeah, exactly. I believe she did I gotta look it up. I believe she did Look Who's Talking too.
The second one, or as well?
I believe she did the original Look Who's Talking. Let me look it up. I'm looking up something right now, folks. I'll let you know in just a second. I believe she did though. They talk about some other shit while I look up Amy Heckerling.
So think about that quarantine. My
I
dad's.
was right. I was right. She did do Look Who's Talking, the original, and she did Clueless.
So she actually had a pretty solid career as a director.
She had a great career, and she also did that movie Baby Talk, one with Diane Keaton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she did some other great movies besides Johnny Dangerously. Like she just disappointed with this one, but she did some great shit. Look Who's Talking, and then the most famous one that she's known for, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But that was before this.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that's her calling card.
That is Clueless for generation. It might be Clueless.
Well, no, but I'm saying like, cause I'm looking at it from if you're a producer, right, or you're a writer, or you're a director in town, like whatever you start out with, that's your one until you hit it with something big. So that was her calling card.
So she did good. Yeah. Now most of this movie, in terms of like the whole story between Johnny and his brother Tommy, played by Griffin Dunn, is taken from another movie, Manhattan Melodrama from 1934, where it actually had William Powell and Clark Gable as two brothers who were raised together, but both of them were on different sides of the fence. Wherever Johnny, in this case, was the gangster, and Tommy would end up becoming a lawyer and eventually a district attorney. And like the whole thing of the two brothers, being on opposite sides of the law, they took that from Manhattan Melodrama, which is a good little plot too. Yeah, and actually in both movies, the gangster brother actually roots for the DA brother.
Yeah.
Just to see that, like, I want you to do a good job. Yeah. I love when Johnny and Tommy are like on they're like on like in the courthouse or whatever, because Tommy's whole gets down throughout the whole movie is that he wants to get laid.
Yeah.
So he has a little sweetheart or whatever, and like and then they finally do get married at City Hall, and then they decide to have a honeymoon in the broom closet at City Hall, where he accidentally overhears that Johnny Kelly, his brother, is actually the gangster, Johnny Dangerously. And at one point he leaves in the broom closet. The girl is propped up, ready to go. He leaves, and then the girl's left in there like, what the fuck? And then this old black man comes in there. He starts singing this old Negro spiritual as he walks in there. Go, take me home, Jesus, by the hand. Closes the door, he sees a white woman like, hallelujah. And then Johnny and Tommy had this like little mock fight on the steps of City Hall when he finds out or whatever. And then and Tommy's like, we're gonna settle this with our fists. And Johnny's like, whoa. You can't fight me. I'm too good. I take my chances. And you see them about to fight, and then you see a vision of their mothers telling Johnny, take a dive. He puts his hands down, Tommy hits him, and he decides to go to jail. It's a nice little scene too. And then you see them like hugging on City Hall. You see these two people like walking by, these two dudes like hugging on each other and shit. Like Johnny's like, hey, come on, stop. Very funny scene, man. But my favorite scene in terms of the whole Johnny Tommy dynamic is when he's trying to dissuade him, because he wants to quit lawsuits so he can get laid, which is really stupid. But Johnny brings him to his penthouse apartment to dissuade his brother with this educational video that they prepared for the movie, Your Testicles and You. And you see this like black and white thing, like a PSA, where all these people like in this hospital with like elephantitis ass balls, and they're like giant balls, and they can barely move. Like, and then this one doctor's like, hello, I'm Dr. Smile, and I'd like to talk to you about your testes. And he puts a balloon to illustrate, like, let's say this balloon is your scrotum. Sometimes it's empty. Sometimes blows it up, it's full. And sometimes takes a pin and explode like a balloon. This cartoon illustrates, you see a cartoon of like a cartoon dick and some balls. He's like, living a healthy life, working out and shit, and then you see a girl come up to him, he's like, it's so, watch that shit, you guys, go look it up. Johnny Dangerously, Your Testicles and You. It's fucking hilarious. And then Tommy gets inspired by the movie, he leaves, and like, Johnny's like, where you going? Back to law school. Such a silly movie, man. Let's see what else here. Oh yeah. Oh, there's one great scene where they're like, where Johnny Dangerously is like, wreaking havoc or whatever. And there's a newspaper that says, "Who is Johnny Dangerously?" And the sketch that they use is actually Sylvester Stallone from Rocky 3. Like from that poster, where he's like shirtless and it's that same face. They just do a sketch of it. That's Johnny Dangerously. Oh yeah. Also, Brian De Palma is a huge fan of this movie, which is cool. Yeah. Apparently he laughed. Yeah. Apparently he laughed hysterically during the advanced screening for the Directors Guild, and like 2 years later, or actually 2 months later, he cast two of the cast members, Danny DeVito and Joe Piscopo, in his movie Wise Guys.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it does, man. And also, there's a credit to Neil Israel and Pat Proft, who did not write this movie. They were listed as special medical advisors. Now, for those of you who don't know who those guys are, Neil Israel and Pat Proft wrote the Police Academy. And actually, Neil Israel was actually married to Amy Heckerling at the time. So that helps. And also, this movie was actually released during, like, they had a little cycle in Hollywood of gangster movies in the 80s. And I didn't realize this, but they did. After that, they had like Preezy's Honor, the Jan Nicholson movie that we talked about, Wise Guys, we just talked about that, Harlem Nights, City Heat with Clint Eastwood and fucking Burt Reynolds and Richard Roundtree, Johnny Dangerously, of course, and the Steve Martin movie, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, all came out around the same time.
Well, and then Dick Tracy.
That was a little bit later, but yeah. A little bit. Actually, I think it's around the same, like 1990. Yeah, I remember the Dick Tracy craze. I remember that shit.
Yeah, I think I had
hardcore.
I had some kind of Dick Tracy toy. It was like
they promoted the shit out of Dick Tracy. I had a Dick Tracy toy.
Yeah,
it was like on comic books, and like if you go to like Pizza Hut or some shit, like you get a Dick Tracy cup, or something like that. Yeah. They did a bunch of promotion for Dick Tracy. So what?
It's the thanks to Batman. They put every movie that came out on toys and shit everywhere.
That's the fucking that's the model for this kind of like exposure. You say, cause Batman, that shit was on everything.
Yeah. And then toys, Star Wars took it to a whole new level as soon as Disney bought them.
Oh my god! And then like they did a lot of movies like that though.
Brand oranges.
Yeah, a lot of movies did the same thing. Terminator 2 was the same way. Bram Stoker's Dracula was the same way. The marketing machine was crazy on those movies.
It went nutty, man.
Oh yeah, yes they did. Dick Tracy. We probably should do that one night. Is just a list of shitty movies. I didn't like it.
You can skip.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, one of the rival crime bosses of this movie is named Maroni. And funny enough, one of the crime bosses in the Batman universe is named Sal Maroni. So, Batman, of course, Michael Keaton playing Batman, and then Danny DeVito is the Joker. Well, Danny DeVito, excuse me, as the Penguin. I correct myself.
I let you do it for you.
Yeah, the internet would have did it for me. So yeah, I corrected myself. Fuckers. Oh yeah, by the way, they are roasting the shit out of me for those Barry Bonds.
Yeah, good.
I look on my Facebook and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? No, because they released it a couple days ago. I haven't seen it yet. I didn't see it till today. And then I looked at the comments. I'm like, what the fuck, y'all, man? They're going in.
After the roasting I got for that horrible photo.
Yeah, it came with the territory. So fucking, I'm making a fool of myself. I might as well use this shit. So, but yeah, they're really mean. And of course, we just mentioned the Batman thing. Of course, Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton will star again a couple years later. Well, actually, almost 10 years later in Batman Returns, and also most recently in Dumbo. They're in Dumbo together. Tim Burton's Dumbo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're in that together. And in the whole Roman Moroni, I love Roman Moroni's like butchering of the English language. He is horrible. You sneaky bastard. Wait, he's calling him, you some of them bitches. You sneaky bastard. I'm gonna grind your boils. I'm gonna take your dog. I'm gonna nail it to the wall. And you're like, oh, this is Farkin. Yeah, it's Farkin. Yeah, this is Farkin War.
Okay.
I love when Tommy brings him to court, he does this like bullshit deposition. You lousy corksuckers. You desecrated my Farkin rights. This Samaram Batin country was founded so that ordinary patriotic citizens like me will not be prosecuted by a bunch of Farkin assholes like yourselves. Thank you very much. I love how he's like naming all these different like disasters that he's a part of, like making fun of the St. Valentine's Day massacre.
Yeah.
So he's apparently he's responsible for all these other things. Like he's like for the Mother's Day massacre, the Christmas Day slaughter, the the something murder, and the Groundhog's Day beheadings. Yeah, and then he said like, do you know this person? He's like, I don't have a clue. And he keeps his cool the whole time, but then he hits him with a math question. If you're going to travel on a plane at 16 miles an hour, and there's another plane comes in an opposite direction at 14 miles an hour, tell me, sir, what time would that train reach Chicago? That's a fucking stupid question. He just started losing. And then you see this headline that says, Moroni deported to Sweden, says he's not from there. It's a really funny movie, man. Y'all check it out, man. And the other thing that I liked it is they all the gangsters in the city stay at the Gangster Arms, a really upscale apartment building. And some of the other tenants include Legs and Shirley Diamond, Pretty Boy and Pretty Girl Floyd, Al and Cindy Capone, and of course Johnny Dangerous. I love there's one scene where he's at his house and then Mrs. Capone comes up to ask to borrow a couple bullets. Hey Johnny. Hey Mrs. Capone. Hey, can I get some bullets? What kind of low over here? Well, what kind of low over here too, Mrs. Capone? Oh boy, Al's gonna be pissed. So Al's just gonna have to stay home tonight, isn't he? Oh yeah. But it's really good stuff. Like, I love there's one scene when Johnny's like talking about like how it was life of a gangster. He's like, we're like guys like me, we're like shooting stars. You know, we go up and sail across the sky, and then we plunge to earth and disappear. Jesus Christ, I'm starting to depress myself. It's a really great scene. Oh yeah, it is. I didn't notice this either. Peter Boyle and Michael Keaton will actually star again a couple years later in a movie, The Dream Team. You remember that movie?
Oh yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, with Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd, Stephen Furst, and Peter Boyle, and they're four mental patients who like they have a little trip into town, but then they end up in like a murder investigation. They end up like each going around the city.
Their doctor gets killed or hurt or something, ends up like getting taken out of the equation, so they're trying to find their way home on their own.
And they're framed for it. So, but they each like go across the city, and they all have something wrong with them. I believe Michael Keaton's character is like a compulsive liar, some shit like that.
Something like that. And then for some reason, like Christopher Lloyd, like he always pretends he's a doctor. Like,
yeah,
it's a great movie.
And also Christopher Lloyd also on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah,
he's the aggressive guy. You remember that? Yeah. So yeah, I'll go back to Cuckoo's Nest, man. And the last thing is the once recurring song throughout the movie is the Cole Porter song "Let's Misbehave." Yeah, that's actually the ending song. They do it a couple other times in the actual score of the movie. Like, yeah, it's always a Cole Porter's "Let's Misbehave." And yeah, it's a really good movie. Like I say, guys, if you get a chance, check out Johnny Dangerously. Check out all the movies we suggested to you guys. because they're all funny movies.
Oh, they're
Yeah, they're all killer.
Yeah.
So, like, check them out. Enjoy them as much as we've enjoyed them.
we could go and go and go.
Yeah, but we can't because we have stuff to do. So, but we really hope you guys have enjoyed this episode tonight. We enjoyed as much as we have. This is actually one of the more fun ones. I didn't think we were gonna be breaking up laughing as much as we did.
But dude, we're getting into it. We're not just doing the trivia stuff, and I actually kind of enjoy this too when we can get into like scenes and scene specific stuff that we love because it makes it that much more fun for me for sure.
I agree with that too. All right, so guys, join us next time. We're actually gonna discuss between us our next topic for Dropping in Culture with JD and AJ. But until then, this has been Dropping in Culture with JD and AJ. I'm JD.
And I'm AJ.
See you guys next time. Peace. Be safe out there.
Dropping that culture. 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 Dropping that culture.